Thank you, Angel, and Heidi ho, everyone. How you doing? Good to have you here. Good to have me here because I wasn't here yesterday, and my apologies for that. I had in fact, my bamboo guru is in town and staying with us, and I was learning a few more tips and tricks about how to get bamboo looking its best, and interested in a couple of new markets, things like that. So I'm completely out of touch, I've got to say, and I was this morning, and I probably will be for the rest of the week due to his presence. So I'm probably not going to be taking too many trades, that's for sure, but we can update a few and update something that I am looking at with relation to the daily scenarios. And of course, it's quiz day. John will be in with his quiz. Ash, no doubt, will be in very, very shortly with all the latest on the footsie and all. And hopefully we'll get something meaningful done for you in terms of education through the quiz, if not through my trades today, because really I'm not hopeful of finding anything on the short term. But we'll see. Never say never. Oftentimes I come into the trading arena and go, I don't like the look of this, and then I hang around a little bit and things change and away you go. We shall see. All right, we will start, of course, with have I shared the screen? No, I haven't. With the pound. I'm actually still in this pound breakout trade from Tuesday. It is in drawdown. Thank you, Paul P. It is, of course, in drawdown. Where do we enter the market here? Have I got the right chart? Yes, I do. We entered the market here. And our take profit level is... Actually, I don't have the right... Do I have? Yeah, I do. Oh, I don't. There it is. No, that's EuroCAD. I'll get there. That's pound US dollar. I can't find the take profit level. That sucks. Oh, that's because it's way down there. A long way from where we are. So today, should we be looking to do anything? Well, the range, of course, the 48-hour range is here to here. Actually, it's here to there, sorry. There to there-ish, so 94 pips. We're right in the middle of it, aren't we? It's not the worst. But I think you can see by this scenario that that's probably a more defined range. And the chances of us getting 2.5 to 1 out of that, to my mind, are pretty poor until that breaks. Of course, that's what we're trading breakout, but I think we're probably going to oscillate in here a few more times. I'm really well behind in terms of what's happening in news land. Let me have a quick squiz at that. Thursday, well, we had Aussie numbers out. I've got no idea what they are. I'll have a look at the Aussie in a minute. The Aussie numbers were... Wow, still going down, 4.9 and 29,000 employed. That's pretty cool. Against that, GDP quarterly on year, what on earth does that mean? Is in China, of course, which affects the Aussie a bit, has gone down a tick versus forecast. Wow, I've got to think the Aussie's not going to be too bad on the back of that. So we'll have a look at that in just a tick. The Aussie, that is. Why did I go off there to get... I was looking at the news, wasn't I? What's happening today? Not a whole lot, according to me. Overnight, we've got Powell testifying and CPI figures coming out of New Zealand. But today, we do have a Monetary Policy Committee member speaking, but that really is it. Okay, so I don't think we're going to break out of here is what I'm saying. So I'm not going to enter another trade. I'm hopeful, of course, that this will bounce perhaps off these pivots or get back underneath them and go south and hurtling towards our 136.32 level or whatever it is. So let's leave the pound alone, apart from having a quick overview of what prospects lie ahead for it. Big double top, lower low, lower high, lower low range. That's the scenario I see. So nothing there really for me. Let's have a look at the Aussie. We are in an Aussie trade after all. And that news has really got me thinking that Aussie's got prospects today. Always the hint there of a little inverted head and shoulders. I think we spoke about that and this level down here. Tough to trade long though. You're trading straight into the weekly pivot, which has already been rejected by this bar. Little bit of an engulfing bar yesterday by the look of it on the daily, and right now I think the market on the Aussie is stable. But what will London think of that news coming out of Australia? Good question. I don't know that I have reason. I've got reason, sorry, but I don't have a setup to actually trade this long. Not yet anyway. Bit of a double cross there on the daily pivot as well. That's interesting. Very interesting. Okay. I don't want to add to the short based on a double cross on the daily pivot, but let's see what the next candle does on the 4-hourly chart. On the 1-hourly chart, am I keen? I can see a potential long setup. Wow, and there it is. Trading straight into the high of the day. That eliminates it for me. So it's a no, because I don't trade straight into the high of the day without profit, and I certainly can't take profit, but that's an interesting bar. And it is a very, very tempting scenario to trade this long right now on the back of the news, backed up by the setup, which those of you who are aware of the my strategy, the slingshot strategy, will recognize that as what I call T43. Few high test bars sitting on that resistance line. Weekly pivot, obvious target. What I'll have to do is wait for the break of that level and then a retest. Could pick it up on the ABC, but it's a setup I do like, I've got to say. But we're leaving it alone because we've got to break our rules to do it. So that's a no for me. Righto, let's update the trades that we are in. A couple of them had our trailing stops hit over the last couple of days. And Kiwi Yen was one. What else were we in? Kiwi Yen and still in Euro Swissy. Pound Swissy. Pound had a bit of a topsy-turvy day yesterday by the look of that. Whoosh, straight up to the monthly pivot, bang, straight back under the others. So our trailing stop got hit on Pound Swissy. Good trade overall, but not as nice as it would have, as we would have liked. The others that we are still in, Aussie I mentioned, our trailing stop, where are we at entry, I think, aren't we? Oh no, we're well under entry. Okay. I'm happy with where our trailing stop is. I don't think it needs to move. If we get that rally today on the back of the numbers, the unemployment figures out of Australia, then the potential for this to be hit is strong. And then if it survives, I think we're in bear land again. I think we'll go again short, because I don't see how the news can't give the Aussie something. And if it doesn't give it enough to go to at least the monthly pivot or back into that range, then something else is happening, right? So if that something else is happening, it would indicate to me that that will continue the short scenario. So either way, I could look to take the long with the break and retest, or with a false break, perhaps I could look to scale. I'll scale back into this, going in the opposite direction. At the moment, to me, it's a guessing game as to which way it's going to go, but the news is really strong. Wow. Those numbers in Australian employment figures just keep tumbling, and that's really good news. That would have to be the first time under 5 that I can remember in a big while. I would have thought. I'm going to have a look at the graph on that, actually. Not since 2019, March 2019, when they dipped under 5 for a very short period of time. And before that, well, Adam was still playing fullback for Jerusalem at that time. So we can't really think that the Aussie won't rally on the back of that on a fundamental basis. So, yeah, it's a bit tough. It hasn't done it yet. Maybe we're going to catch that if it does happen. But at the moment, wow, I'm choking. That's what I'm doing. I'm standing on my hands and waiting for something to happen. Euro Swissy, look, can't complain about Euro Swissy. It's still going strong. Again, our stop loss is in positive territory. The weekly pivot is protecting that stop loss, as is that little swing there. That's why we've got it there. I'm looking for more downside today on this one. If that were to be the case, we may tomorrow, depending on where the weekly pivot is likely to end up, I suppose, may take some more profit on that. And Euro Yen, same thing. Our stop loss is well into profit and no need to do anything there either. If we do get a nice little push today back towards where 128-ish, something like that, if we get a push down there, then I certainly would be looking before the market closes tomorrow or Saturday morning for me, I would be looking to put some more in the bank on that one as well. But yeah, all looking good on both those Euro trades. The only one that is of concern, wasn't of concern, but it's in slight drawdown, is pound Kiwi on the monthly, which just refuses to get through that 199 level, or the $2 level, if you like, and finding that very, very difficult so to do. It'll get there, I believe, and we'll hang in there. Euro CADs is the only other trade that we're in, still underneath that trade line. And whilst ever that's the case, I'm happy to leave its stop loss and entry. Maybe could bring that down. Maybe could do that. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. I think that's a safe place right where it is. If we got above here and retested that, I'm on a monthly chart, right? So this is not, sorry, a weekly chart. That's not going to happen quickly. But if it got above here by the end of the week and next week closed on that or retested that trade line, I would then take a long. But we're talking next week, not now. And that's about where I'm at the moment. As I said, I really haven't done too much analysis. In fact, I've done no analysis, tell the truth, Jeff. I've done no analysis in the last 24, 36 hours, apart from what I've just really had a look at. And the Aussie looks like a buy to me, Ash. G'day, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, difficult with the Aussie, isn't it? Because of the COVID situation and
yeah, breaking out again. Yep.
Yeah, and it will put some pressure on there. It's interesting looking around. I was checking our trade of the week actually earlier on, our dollar Swissy, and it's going really well, and we're seeing the dollar definitely weaken now, and gold is really starting to stretch its legs to the upside. So I think there's more obvious kind of trades out there that are doing really nicely, and it is really all against the dollar. As I say, gold's doing really well today after the Jerome Powell testimony, and as I say, the dollar Swiss is doing very well, and I suspect the euro dollar is probably doing okay. I haven't looked at it, but
speaking of euro dollar, Lewis, you must have a crystal ball, buddy. Really, remember on Monday or Tuesday maybe, Lewis said to me, "Do you think it'll retest that?"
Yeah, I remember
that trade line. I said, no, it's going long. Bloody Nora, if it didn't test it to the pip, and away she goes, right on that confluence as well.
Yeah.
Tops to you, Lewis, again, mate. Well done. I still think it's going long, I've got to say, but it certainly came down and tested that to the pip. Goodness gracious me. Well done. I hope you got something out of that apart from just the kudos. Sorry, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, no suggestion that the dollar's going long, and let's have a look around the grounds, because I think there are some quite interesting things to note here. Let's have a look. No, I think I've managed to sort out my system a little better. So let me just make sure that this is right. It should be this one.
Well, I think you've closed in the right place, Lewis. I really do.
I'm looking at the FTSE 100. Definitely some weakness out there, and there are, I think, conflicting kind of reasons for some of this as well. You know, what we've seen today is some really good jobs numbers from the UK. Now, that would certainly more often than not suggest upside for the FTSE, and that's probably why it's struggling at these levels, because the problem with it is that even though it's suggesting upside for the FTSE, it's also potentially suggesting upside for the pound. And the reason for that is the Bank of England have got this tone now where they are probably even more hawkish than the Fed. Now, the Fed isn't hawkish at all. After we saw and heard from Jerome Powell yesterday, he
what did he say?
Probably, well, you know, it was certainly dampening kind of speech that Jerome Powell said when it came down to kind of the dollar. I mean, he's really interested in the growth, and he's interested in the inflation numbers. But the Fed are really quite happy to hold their line and hold where they are. And that should be bullish for the market, you know, and it was quite bullish for the market. And this is why one of the reasons that we're seeing the FTSE at least hold its level. When it gets that daily pivot, I would have my suspicions about whether it can go there. But the truth is, the indication here just isn't clear. It's just not a very clean indication of what direction we should be going in. When we break, if we were to break that daily pivot, then there would be a much clearer indication. But again, the issue again would be if we got to that daily pivot, the idea would be that we should sell this short. We should be going short on the FTSE 100. But because of what Jerome Powell said, I think that's going to be a difficult trade to make. And I'm always more cautious of the downside than I am the upside. If there was technical indicators which suggested upside after what Jerome Powell said, that would make me feel a lot more comfortable than aiming for the downside, because the downside just doesn't have the same magnetic pull that that the upside has. And plus the fact the FTSE is globally undervalued. If we were to compare the FTSE to the NASDAQ and the S&P and the NASDAQ are getting into that area where some negativity on earnings would potentially push it lower. And the FTSE would probably come down as well, but I don't think it's going to come down as far. And you know, there's a potential hedge trade right there. FTSE long, NASDAQ short, even though that again would probably send shivers down most people's spine. So it's going to be a high risk strategy. So you have to make sure you manage the money, but potentially a good reward, because I think the FTSE, as I say, will hold its line. Where if there is some market weakness, the NASDAQ is much more likely to come down aggressively. Now, if we talk about what is keeping the FTSE in its cage, and one of the reasons that I'm not that keen on the long, and really what we're pointing to is a no trade scenario here, and this is one of the reasons that I'm not too keen on the long, and that is because of this number here of XTI. And what we're seeing here now is some definite weakness coming into the oil market. You know, we hit that high up there. Now that high on this particular chart, the high is at 76.41, but the futures were at 76, I think 92 or 95. So certainly, you know, around the 50-cent mark of your topping out the market, mate, at 77. So you talk about crystal balls. I think you've probably got one as well hidden away somewhere, but you can see that we're at the monthly pivot, so not a tradable area to the downside. This is a buy zone, and we probably want oil to bounce back a little bit if we are going to be taking the short. But the fundamentals with oil are now starting to push to a potential short, because the UAE has come out and said we will get around the table. Now, if the UAE are getting around the table, that would suggest supply coming back into the market, and we know what the supply will do if demand stays the same. So there's a decent reason to suggest that oil would ease back a bit, and it would just to be an easing back. It won't be anything significant, but an easing back to the downside is potentially on the cards, and that is manifesting itself in the oil stocks in the FTSE 100. Royal Dutch Shell currently down 2.5%, and BP the same. So and because they're such big companies in the FTSE, it's going to be difficult to suggest a long. and difficult actually to suggest a short. Rio Tinto up 1.5%, another one of the behemoths, and a few of the others just below that are holding their line. So we're probably in a bit of a range situation. Not too attractive, and with this kind of situation, again, I'd prefer to go long really than short. But the indicators, certainly that I use, are more short than they are long. So bit of a balance to try and play, and then you kind of have to put all that stuff in the cauldron and say, okay, well, what's the best thing to do? And the equal sign really points to me to say, probably better to kind of stay on the sidelines and not sweat it out too much at this particular stage. So nothing to do for me on the FTSE at this particular stage, as I say. The more obvious markets are dollar related. So maybe oil popping to the upside might help it out. But look what we've seen with gold ever since the lows were seen back down here at 1756, up now at 1832. So getting close.
Finally break that pivot, eh?
Yeah, it has broken the pivot, mate, and it looks like this WR2 is now the potential target, possibly a little bit higher, but looks like 1856, giving really the bulls that managed to get in down here at 1750 a good $100 move to the upside. So looks like around about say a 6% move from the lows if you manage to get into gold. Still have.
That was our weekly trade 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
This was, mate. I mean, I tell you what, when it comes down to the longer term trades that we've been taking, it's been really good because we had gold a couple of weeks ago. We had the euro yen 3 weeks ago, and that's still going very well. And the other one was the dollar Swiss was the trade of the week this week. And you can see that if we are looking at what we got from the week, then in actual fact, it's still higher than the open of the week. But my price point was the weekly pivot, and if you subscribe to the market bias group, then you will have seen that was my price point that I put in there as the trade of the week, and I put in the weekly pivot price as the area to trade from, and that's really kind of played out ever since Jerome Powell said what he said, and there's nothing right now to suggest that he's going to say anything different today. So he's out again later on. I think it's closer to the US market open. And it's probably going to be much more of the same. Jira, very, very good to have you back, mate. Very good to have you back. And Lewis and John, also good to have you in the room as well, guys. So where does that leave us? What's that mean?
I said totally. I agree, 100%.
Yeah. So where does that leave us?
Welcoming goodbye. I was saying good day. That's on. Not anything else.
Oh yeah, yeah. Where does it leave us on a trade front? Well, it certainly leaves us on the whole, probably with the FTSE. It probably leaves us looking for such situations where we can short the dollar, and probably against gold. I mean, we've got this inflation issue coming out, which is really building, and it's building globally. And we've got the situation where the Fed don't appear to be on the move to control that inflation. So what does that suggest? Well, that suggests a weakening in purchasing power for the dollar until they change stance, or at least intimate that they're going to change stance. And it also suggests that the same situation would hold true with the pound. However, the pound, the Bank of England have come out, and their rhetoric is slightly more hawkish, as I say. So I think at this particular stage, we're probably looking at dollar short. We're probably looking at pound long. We're probably looking at Aussie short, mate, as well. Now, I know what you mean about the employment numbers, but the COVID situation is concerning, and I don't think Australia have handled this next phase of the pandemic as well as others. The vaccine rollout has been slow. They're now going into further lockdowns, and even though that was the strategy at the start that worked very, very well for them, I don't think that's going to be the same as we go forward.
They're starting to pay the price for that right now.
Yeah, they are. And
Melbourne's just about to go into lockdown again as well.
This is interesting as well, I think, because what we saw was when the whole thing blew up in the first place, the Aussie was one of the strongest currencies. And even though the fundamentals really weren't taking much of a front role in what was happening to currencies, the pandemic really did. And we've seen that the reaction to the pandemic continued to play out, because at that time we were really probably looking at Aussie and Kiwi strong because of the way they handled it, and probably the pound was the worst. You know, the way that their approach towards COVID-19 was atrocious. Now, as we come back online, what we've got is a situation where the UK government has probably got no better strategy when it comes down to handling the pandemic, but they've probably got a better strategy in relation to the economy, because they seem hell bent on opening up without any reversal of that particular stance. So it's not that that the UK are basking in glory of being able to beat the pandemic, because it's far from the case. But what they are doing, as I say, is managing to say, right, well, we've vaccinated enough for it not to have pressure on the NHS. Let's get things back open again and try this initial strategy, really, which was the herd immunity.
Is that next week?
It is Monday. Yeah. We're back on Monday, mate. And still countries are going on the amber list. You know, we had the Balearics, Ibiza, which is probably one of the most popular holiday destinations from the UK, being put back on the amber list. So there are certainly going to be certain stocks that won't perform as well. Travel being obviously the obvious candidate there. But on the whole, the leisure industry within the UK will probably start to pick itself back up again. And numbers are good, mate. Numbers are good. When I've been reading the numbers, certainly global numbers are good. The UK numbers are really good. and I think the UK is probably one of the economies leading the charge, and probably will be one of the economies that potentially reacts before the Fed. You know, that's the what's going on with the rhetoric. And if we are sort of like thinking about strength in currencies, then all of them are going to suffer because of what we've seen going on with inflation. However, the one that moves first will likely have that intimation to the market that their currency will strengthen, and Australia just aren't in that situation. So I can't put the Australian dollar on a kind of buy list right now. I think it's I'm almost lumping it in with a dollar.
It's not that bad.
It's not.
Come on.
I mean, I don't know what the price of the Aussie dollar is actually. It'd be interesting to see, but let's have a look. Aussie dollar.
Yeah, it's under 75 now.
It's under 75. Yeah, a little bit flat. Yeah, a little bit flat. It wouldn't be my choice, but you know, the pound isn't performing particularly well just yet. But I do think that the UK is probably going to continue to have a tone which would suggest opening back up again. So maybe a boost in the pound dollar would be potentially coming. Euro dollar we're seeing there. I'm surprised really what's going on with the market this morning. We're not continuing to take off, but I guess one of the reasons is that we are waiting now for the next Jerome Powell speech. And if this comes down to the daily pivot around about 1820, I would have thought there'd be quite a few takers there, because he's not going to say anything different. You know, I would be surprised if he kind of came out and said anything but backing up what he said yesterday. So at this stage, mate, I'm looking at a potential long for gold. Continued weakness in the dollar, and the FTSE just sitting on my hands. I just don't fancy it.
Yeah, it looked cool. I'm with you. Obviously, dollar weakness. I've still got to stick with the Aussie. The problem with the Aussie for me is and this gyro goes to your question. We did congratulate for becoming a dad, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we did that before he left. And I hope you're enjoying that first 2 months of fatherhood, mate. There's nothing like it. Nothing can replace it. And you'll be very happy in 30 odd years time when they come to you and say, Dad, I need some more money. No, there's no. Good on you, mate. It's awesome. Sleepless nights. Yes. All of that. Never ends, mate. That never ends. Get used to it.
It does. It does. You know what? I didn't think it did, but then all of a sudden we've gone over the bridge and it's actually a lot better. I mean, it's you'll never have quite the same night's sleep, but it does get better.
Briefly.
yeah. Well, I'll bow to your experience there, mate.
Yes. So getting back to the Aussie, look, there are setups there right now, Gyro. I agree. Hourlies are set up. The 4 hourly is set up, and that's really, really tempting. But what I do see is trading straight into the top of today's range. So that's just not on for me, because I've been burnt too many times before. But I really think it is a buying opportunity today. It's tough to get long. And going with what Ash has just said, I think it's even tougher now that I take that into consideration. It was there anyway, because I'm right in the thick of watching all the capital cities in Australia have struggles at the moment. Fortunately, I don't live anywhere near any one of them. And on our little island here, we're in pretty good shape. But I think that will have an effect as it develops, if it develops further than it is. But I think those numbers are just too good to ignore. They're all-time, not all-time numbers, but they're very, very long-term improvements on the employment figures. So, and it continues. The trend is definitely down. You know, they've gone down, 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 down. I think for 4 or 5 months in a row. I didn't check that chart while I was there. So I think the market will buy into that. Whether it can last, I agree with that. I don't think it can until this COVID situation resolves itself, which is a long way away in Australia at the moment, because of and we spoke about this last week, because of our esteemed Prime Minister. It's the same as saying, what do the beaks say? The judges say, not the judges, lawyers say, my learned friend. Yes. In other words,
the thing is, though, mate, what have the Australian central bank come out and suggested any changing of policy stance?
No, not to my knowledge. They are still sticking to the mantra that this is a transitory situation with the inflation, and nothing's changed. Everything in terms of COVID, I don't think they've made a statement based on the latest Sydney and Melbourne developments. I could be wrong there, but I haven't heard one. So I don't know where their head is getting around that. But in terms of everything else, it's exactly the same as it's been for the last 6 or 7 months. That they haven't changed their stance at all. They are, I can't quite remember now. I think the bond purchases have ended.
Right.
In terms of the first, let's call it the first tranche, where they were taking, can't remember the numbers, but they had a 6-month plan where they were buying bonds at this rate. I think that's now scaled back. So that's not a bad thing. But who knows what happens now with COVID, as you say. But I think short term, I'm still happy to, if it sets up, of course. And it's difficult today because of the resistance that's dead ahead. Weekly pivot's dead ahead. The high of the day is dead ahead. So until they're cleared, and Gyra, as you suggest, I think a break and retest is the only way I will get into this, unless we get a break and a false break of support, which I can see pretty clearly. There's a clear trend line or trade line on the 4-hour chart that is support. If that were to break and turn into a false break, I think we've got a pretty strong case to actually trade that long, maybe up to the monthly pivot, which is the bottom or the breakout area of the previous range. So I'd be happy to do that, but it has to set up. I won't trade into these resistance areas because the danger is there, you know.
Yeah.
Clear and present danger.
Yes, there is absolutely clear and present danger. But before we move on, mate, is there anything else that we need to update on with trades or initiating trades?
No, I'm not going to, because I haven't been in front of the charts for like 36 hours or more, nearly 48 hours actually. I'm not prepared to just go on my key reversals. I don't think they're strong enough. There are a lot of them. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 key reversal bars today. Mainly CAD. Well, sorry, there's 4 CADs. which is interesting with that oil scenario.
Mm.
So that could be a furphy. I think you were saying that you think the oil scenario is temporary. It's only a retracement that we're looking at.
Well, but deeper than where we are, though. I mean, because what if what the UAE have done is come out and said that we're considering a chat. So there's nothing solid within that, except for the fact that they're going to sit down and start negotiating. But the fear will be that there will be potentially more supply that comes back into the market. So if that manifests and actually we get a number which is larger than the market really hopes for, then the retracement may well be just that bit deeper than we expect. But it certainly put the jitters into oil traders at this particular stage.
Cool. The other thing, of course, is we had CAD monetary policy overnight, did we not?
I believe so.
So I've got no idea what that statement was. I've got no doubt they didn't change the interest rate, but I have no idea what the statement said. So that's probably not helped the CAD by the looks of things at this point. But if it hasn't skyrocketed, then I would suggest their policy hasn't really changed too much anyway.
No,
similar to Australia.
Yeah, it is the same.
Which, of course, is still super competitive on the exchange, on the foreign exchange rates. An interest rate of 0.25% is stellar at the moment, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and yeah. So if we were kind of like taking in the carry, then yes, the CAD does look that little bit more attractive. Whether that's kind of like now ultimately priced in is maybe one of the questions with it. I guess you'd be reticent to sell out of your CAD positions if you were enjoying that particular scenario where you've got the carry. So that might well hold the CAD up somewhat. But then if you're starting to get a sniff that the pound is going to be starting to move, then maybe switching over to a currency which is about to kind of give you a better differential could well be a possibility, because with that you'd probably want to try and get it in early, so you get ultimately a better yield because you've got a lower price, but a better yield down the line because you got that lower price. So it's possible that we do start to see a bit of a shift, but we probably need to hear a little bit more. But numbers, when you consider what's happened, numbers in the UK, inflation numbers really are very hot. Employment is really hot. Business confidence and business sentiment, it really is running quite hot. And you've got rhetoric which does suggest that there could be a consideration of the next move being earlier than expected. So the pound all of a sudden is starting to come into focus. I mean, I wasn't even considering the pound for long, but in the last few days, things have really changed. I tell you where it becomes really interesting is when we consider the yen. Because what we've seen is COT data seasonality and some of the fundamentals suggesting that we should be looking at a yen long. Now, we were discussing seasonality not that long ago, saying that it's all out of kilt. All of a sudden, it's starting to look a little bit more back in line. The yen is strengthening, throughout the period of the year which it should do. The dollar is potentially weakening throughout the year of the period of the year it should do. And the fundamentals really don't suggest that we should be looking at a long yen. I mean, the yen's an absolute pig of a currency if you consider the global drivers that make up what's going on in Japan. The only good thing,
not least of which, of course, is COVID as well. They've got big issues.
They've got big issues that they've got the Olympics, which will
cost them shitloads of money. Because
it's a difficult one, isn't it?
I
mean, the Olympics really should return net positive, but they may well have an issue because they just can't get the movement of people because of COVID.
They'll lose their forecast versus what'll be a return on the Olympics must be just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
billions of dollars that won't be there that they will that you would expect to turn up in an Olympic scenario,
which kind of puts us back on the not on the look just yet, but it does suggest that if all things being equal, when there is a potential switch in seasonality, which I think happens around about August, September time, then we should be looking at short in the yen, and all we're really after is some of these countries to start suggesting a raising of interest rates, and we know what to go against, because there's no way that Japan are going to be hiking interest rates. It's not been their policy for many years, even before COVID. And I just don't think they would be able to sustain it. I'll tell you what, man, there's some fascinating issues that are out there right now, which would suggest to me that we've still got this potential breakdown of the financial system, and that again, puts gold back in focus, front and center. Gold is certainly looking to prove to be something that we should have in our portfolios again. Bit of an issue with how lofty the price is on a monthly chart, and the same with silver. But gold is starting to look like a necessity, really, at this particular stage.
And once they start biting into it, it'll go fairly rapidly, one would think.
Yeah, which it already is, isn't it, really? I mean, I think the fact that it has gone up, where are we at? We're at 1832. We were down at 18, so we were down at 1750. I can't even remember where we were with gold. The low was around about 1750. So what's that? It's around about what are we looking at? Around about 4. Yeah, it's kind of popping up. It's popping up, what, 6% or something in a very short period of time. It's not really taking that long to kind of pop up to those levels. We are where we are now. Yeah, that's relatively seismic. I mean, we've seen everything else kind of drifting or going down. So gold is certainly becoming interesting. And I suppose depending on what options you have to trade gold will depend on which currency you want to trade it against. Because as I say, it looks pretty good against the dollar right now, but I'd certainly consider the Aussie as well as a possibility. I was going to mention Bitcoin as well, which is still in the doldrums, just can't get itself going and can't get itself out, looking more and more like a potential deep move to the downside before leveling off. So there are a few assets out there that you wouldn't really want to be involved in right now. But we have to remember again, seasonality would suggest that the market does start to just cool off a little bit at this time of year. So I'm sure we'll be all back on again and friends with the market back in September.
Well, it's Northern Hemisphere summer, it's holiday season, it's all sorts of things.
That's the other thing, isn't it, mate?
Yeah.
That's what we're moving into. Anyway, so let's move to quiz time. I don't know if John, if you are prepared for a quiz.
All right. Whilst that transition's happening, I'll just give you a heads up. There may well be a euro dollar 30-minute trade short in 22 minutes time. I'll keep you updated on that.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's go with you, John, and see what questions you have for us this week to test our grey matter.
Oh, I'll be hopeless this week. I've been absent yesterday and today. Really.
Yeah. You have. No Ainsley actually yesterday.
Oh, look, she messaged me like 1 minute before the show or something, and I couldn't get the message to. Or I tried to get a message to you, and something didn't happen. I'm sorry. My apologies for that.
Oh, no problem, mate.
Okay. Rock and roll.
Here we have it.
It's an easy question to kick it off with, especially if you've got that classic gig of new children in the house and bottles to make and all the rest of it. When you're waking up in the morning and you're about to place your trade, you might just want to have a look at this first just to make sure you're a little bit happy. You don't have to, but maybe you should.
Ooh.
I've learned this from you guys.
Really?
Yes.
How come I don't know the answer?
No. It's you will always look at this at some point. I'm sure you do. Both of you. Oh, look, yes. Forex Factory.
Yeah.
It took me
Fair
ages
play,
to
mate.
learn how to use it and things, but yeah. So we stopped this.
Yeah, like it.
Okay. Question 2. Into the crypto world. El Salvador president, he's announced that Bitcoin will be legal tender. Not quite sure how he's going to get past the MFI drinks cabinet, but which nearby country is thinking of doing the same? And there's a good reason for them doing it as well, apparently.
I think that's I think that's right. I did.
Oh yeah, look at this.
I got no idea, so I'll stay here.
Paraguay. They've got apparently they got a lot of natural power.
Okay.
I didn't realize that.
No.
As in wind, solar.
I think it's turbines, water.
Wind turbines.
What do you call it? Hydro.
Oh, okay. Hydro.
Yeah.
It turned into Tassie. Tassie supplies Australia. You know that, mate.
Tassie supplies Australia with water power.
Electricity, yeah.
MasterCard is not the master of everything. This is right on the edge. So if you've not checked your news, you might not get it. The country's big though. Which country is closing the door on it?
Oh gosh, what? So they're saying they're not going to use MasterCard anymore?
They're not going to allow new issuances of cards at the minute. You know, everything can change. But there is a country which is that's so close, Sweden. Sweden is very, very close with one of the guesses. So Gary's pretty close as well. Ash, you're getting cold. Oh, you're pretty
wow, geez, this is news to me.
I'm too much of a geek. COVID. The COVID is closing in KL. Yes, Jeff. Nice one.
Oh, well done, mate. Well done.
Back on the team.
Back on the team.
That was a shock, but there might be a reason for it. Okay, our sporty question of the week. Somebody should get this because there's 2 football clubs.
I'm still in pain.
World of trouble. They're in a world of trouble. And again, that new deal, but take a pay cut in half.
Oh, which
in
world
half.
famous football player has just signed a new deal with a pay cut?
If you're into football, of course you would. I've been following the negotiations of this. I'm just fascinated by it. But yeah, it's decided to stay at the club, new contract, but pay cut in half. Jeff, Jeff, man, the day off has been cool for you.
I'm on fire.
Bang, you're on fire.
Is that right? Why is that? So
they're in a world of trouble. Barcelona and Real Madrid, man, they have got balance books like you just. They should join the Fed, man. They've got that type of balance book.
Do you know what? It's interesting that you bring that up because actually, when it's historically, but not so much Barcelona, but Real Madrid always spent way beyond their means, and with financial fair play kind of coming in, they were always going to be in trouble. But they always spent way beyond their means. They just go out and get the best. They would get the best, wouldn't they? They wouldn't really want to trade them up. They just get Galacticos, go out and buy whoever's the biggest and best player.
One of the reasons they wanted that Super League is to try and get themselves out of debt. They're in. Their balance books are really bad, but you know the big clubs maybe they'll pull through it. But then the man takes a pay cut. Okay, this should be.
You reckon he'd be okay?
Wages, what even half?
I don't think.
Maybe it's not.
Yeah, the whole deal gets his, and quite rightly, cut in half. The reason I'm following it is I follow Wolverhampton Wanderers because that's where the city I was born in, and I follow Manchester United because my wife's mom used to teach some of the little kids of Eric Cantona and Mark Hughes. They've got the
All
same.
right.
They're getting this. They've got this massive wage bill. This Podber is, if they let him go, he's going to run his contract down and get all the cash. But it's the same problem with these people. They're trying to avoid it.
Interesting. That's really interesting. It'd be interesting to see whether we get a new paradigm with football, and maybe the era of overinflation is coming to an end.
Could be. I'm just hoping Wolves pick up some bargain players. That's all.
I think he'll be okay though. He'll be
okay. He's not going to be running out of a few packets of crisps to buy.
No.
He'll have holes in his pants.
Yeah. I hope I get this one right. If I don't, it'd be quite good to get told off. Which of the major currencies that we use for Forex trading are known as commodity currencies? And it took me quite a while as a novice trader to work this one out.
How many have you got, John?
I got 3.
Yeah. We're all on top of it.
Yeah, everybody should be rocking on the Dolan on that one. Yes. I thought it was quite nice to have a reasonable, straightforward question and actually get the question right myself. Put myself under pressure and see if I can actually get the right deal.
And this stuff's actually really important to know. When you're kind of getting into trading. So it's a good educational question actually that people do need to know, because it kind of helps us start to link things together, particularly like when we look at oil.
I should probably put a little camera here just to video me actually doing the questions and thinking, oh, right, have I got this question right?
Yeah.
This right?
It's also when you hear educators talk, and Julian comes to mind because his knowledge is so vast across all financial assets, and instead of saying like he does commodity currencies, he'll say, and the Comdols are on this week, and you what? if you're not understanding what he's talking about, how on earth are you going to know what the message is? Yeah. So Comdols are what you're looking at right there.
Yeah. I've sat in front of the screen, staring at it, listening to all the guys with this lingo and things. I'm giving it. Right. Yeah. So it's getting better. Well, this is quite a topical one. We've just been discussing a little bit of this. The UK may have left the Eurozone, but flying there for the holes just might be about to get a tad more expensive. What new policy? This is from the Eurozone. May push up the price of air travel.
Oh,
it's only a suggestion, but they be thinking about it.
Oh, really?
And then obviously it will impact. It will impact it, yeah. And the Brits won't have any control over it unless they subsidise it. But they are
unless they subsidise.
Vaccine passports. No.
Is that wrong?
This will have it'll hit everybody, but it will definitely get the Brits. It'll definitely get the Brits. Definitely get a couple of my mates because they've already booked their holidays to get Tommy Tanks, in the sun. But
no, I can't even think.
Bang! Tax that jet fuel, baby.
I was going to say tax the POMs, but that didn't make sense.
Oh, my apologies.
It will. Of course. Yes, of course.
The short haul flights into Europe. When the holiday season kicks off is. It's amazing to go to Gatwick and Heathrow just to watch that, and all of the other regional airports. The vast numbers going out on the flights. Because like I used to do it, you get a cheap flight, and then go and stay. You don't have to stay with the masses and get yourself on a nice holiday. There's somebody thinking about taxing the jet fuel.
I tell you what, that'll do 2 things, and the airline companies must just be head in their hands, just what they're going to do. But I tell you where that is really interesting, and where that starts to point us in a direction is to look for stocks like Airbus, because any company that is making green fueled driven airline aeroplanes should do really, really well. Now, it will be something that we should be looking at, 5 to 10 years in the future. But I know Airbus have got a fleet of hydrogen powered and other kind of powered airlines, aeroplanes that they are looking to bring to market. And some of the companies will have to transition over, because it'll probably end up being cheaper for them to transition over than it will be to have to pay for this tax on flights, because it will probably affect sort of like some customer numbers here. So yeah, looking at companies like Airbus, and who else is there? Probably Rolls-Royce as well will probably do okay out of it as well. I suspect they're probably developing certain clean energy engines and things like that.
If they're not, there better be.
Yeah,
yeah. The next one is something that caught me out at the beginning, but it doesn't now.
For the retail customer, which trades 24/7?
Yeah, I was always confused with the gap up in the markets. I'm giving it, hang on, who's trading? So there must be, governments can do whatever they want when the markets are closed. But for retail, I'm assuming that I'm a retail trader. Forex market and the crypto market. Yeah. I did. It took me quite a while to realize that crypto 7 days a week.
Yeah, because all the people who are trying to sell you something, not all the people, that's not true, claim that, don't they? It's a 24/7 market. It's not.
Okay, there is a useful question to finish it off the week.
Did you say religious?
Well, no way, man. I've only got one religion. to ignore it all. Okay, the saxophone.
Oh, good question.
Okay, this is my favorite question, and I shouldn't do it, but it does kill most people. I'll give you.
I like this.
Here we go. There's obviously done that's a saxophone, and is it a member of the woodwind family or the brass family? Brass family would be trumpet, trombone, tuba, euphonium, and all of that sort of gig. Whoa, yo. Yes. The reason being, it is in the woodwind family.
It's the reed, isn't it? Yeah.
Bamboo, mate. It's always about bamboo.
Hey, Jeff, I can't do my gig without what you grow.
There you go, mate.
Interesting. Okay, this is a side question. What has the saxophone and the Eiffel Tower got in common?
Oh, great question. Is the Eiffel Tower a woodwind instrument?
No, it's the Great Paris Exhibition of 1842 was a show to see what you could make out of metals. And the Eiffel Tower was one of them. The Eiffel Tower should have come down after the exhibition but stayed up. This made its debut in 1842 at the same exhibition.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And if you want to blame anybody, blame the French army for this existing.
Okay, hold on, mate. This is really nice. That's a really nice fun fact there. So in 1842, there was an exhibition in
Paris. Yep.
In Paris, and somebody came up with the Eiffel Tower, and they actually built it, did they?
Yeah, it was built for that
exhibition.
Yeah.
Goodness me. Okay.
The gentleman that invented this is a gentleman called Adolphe Saxophone, a Belgian. Showcased this at the same event.
Wow.
Adolphe Saxhorn.
Adolphe Sax. Yeah, Adolphe Sax.
Adolphe Sax. Adolphe.
Adolphe
Sax. Oh, okay. That's really cool.
Yeah. And
he's got two handicaps. His first name, and he can't pronounce the second.
And then there was competition between him and some other instrument maker with the French army. The French army wanted the power of a brass instrument with the agility of a woodwind instrument. And that's where this thing. But the French army are the people to blame. There you go. That's the end of this quiz. I would have put that question in there, but So, no.
Oh, I don't think we would have got it right. I quite like the fun facts about that. So the saxophone was not invented until 1842.
It was around a couple of years before. He was messing around with lots of different things, but it made it sort of official sort of debut at that exhibition.
Right.
Adolf 1842. Adolf
1842.
1942. No. It was another Adolf 100 years later.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't really put the question in, because that's what everybody sort of picks up on, is the little
slightly tenuous link.
Yeah.
1842.
33, 44, 55, 66, 77, mate. It's all happening.
I'm sure there was there was probably an
and-
Adolf in 1840, in 1852 that was quite famous. Knew a little bit about something. And,
there you go. There's your homework.
Yeah, you have to think of
famous Adolf.
It came from Belgium. Yeah, there we are. That's the thing. Oh, I am working on a theme tune as well.
Brilliant!
But I'll run a few samples by you first to see what you like, and then we'll copyright it, and then there's no problem in using it for the show.
NFT it, mate. NFT it.
NFT it. Well, yeah, I'll let people with more brain sort that one out.
Do you know what? That sounds amazing. So we'd actually have a little theme tune when we start the show every day.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did a couple for a friend of mine a while back for his podcast. They usually last about between 10 to 15 seconds. They can't, as long as you get the copyright first. And if we own the copyright, then the FaceTube can take a hike.
No, they wouldn't have a problem with that. They wouldn't have a problem with it. I'm almost tempted to send you some piano to go on top of it as well. So we just have a 15-second jam. But I don't know how I haven't got sound cards anymore, so can't do it.
No, I get away with basic stuff. My Mac laptop in front of me, which is the only reason I have a Mac, actually, is another bit of trivia for you. They bought a company called Logic.
Yes, they did. Yeah, it wasn't Logic, was it? They bought eMagic.
Yeah. So that was
very nice. Okay, thanks very much, mate. Well,
I got an idea for the theme, right?
What you got?
Oh yeah.
No. No. Does anybody recognise what?
They get me landing in court. I know what that is. That's Coronation.
Yes, that's right. Oh, my humming's improved.
The player that did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the bad thing about that one, at the time, you get offered straight up fee, or do you want a little cut of every time the show is put on air? And it was only a pilot run when he did that theme.
Wow, so that's got to be 50 years ago, isn't
it? Yeah, he got the money for that, but that's it. You just get the money for the recording, because the show
no royalties.
And he said he regretted it for the rest of it.
Okay.
Well, do you know the flip side of that is that the story of the guy that came up with the little sting line for Channel 4 News or Channel 4, I think it was actually, and he got paid. I think he got paid something like 15 quid every time it was played, and it was played on the hour every day for I don't know how many years, and he made millions for that 15-second sting.
Well,
yeah, I would recommend my students, if you get a gig like that, take a small fee, and then take your royalties later on, because you never know. Yeah,
absolutely right.
If they offer you that.
Thank you very much, mate. Great quiz as always. We do need a little thing. Now, are we allowed to sing on YouTube? Because obviously Jeff just sung.
Nope.
No, you'd have to. That was very, very quick, and the algorithm would have to pick that up. Usually, what happens?
Okay. Well, in that case, couldn't we have a music round where Jeff hums us a piece of music?
We could do that.
You could do it. I think the problem comes in is if there's a monetary element to the show.
No, I don't need any money for it, mate. It's okay.
No, I didn't think so. But I think I don't know. Paul might be able to answer that one, but I think it's a lot of my friends get their channels demonetized because they're using music that they don't own, and even if their content is just about what the song is, that's it.
So does that mean that because this show's free, we can use music because we're not getting any? What's that?
There must be a monetary angle of it somewhere where we can't use other people's music, but we don't have copyright to use broadcasting. I think.
Okay. So Jeff can't do a four notes.
It could do 4 notes. I don't think the algorithm would pick it up if it was a hum.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon, Jeff? You reckon you could sing 4 notes and we have a little music round?
I think we could do that. Maybe.
You don't,
I've got to get to this trade, right?
Oh, go wrong.
Yes, you do. Let's get back to work.
Thanks, Jono. Well
Thank
done,
you.
buddy.
Yeah, thanks, John. Brilliant stuff, mate. Really good as always. Okay, let's have a look at this trade then, mate, and we'll wrap it up.
Okay, it's a yay or a nay, and I'm naying. It's a clear setup. There's no question about the setup. There is an issue here, and some of you will recognize that chart pattern, I'm sure, and that suggests that this is going long. Now, I'm suggesting that's a clear false break of the resistance trade line. We've come back below it, we've retested it, and this was the one I was alluding to. The problem, of course, is it dipped down a couple of pips more than I wanted. And the reason I wanted it to do that, not to do that, was because I've now got to trade into the low of the day without profit in the bank. And again, just like Aussie dollar, which I won't trade long because we're trading into the high of the day. If I can get that chart up, there you go, because we're trading into the high of the day. I won't do that, though it's another clear setup. Both of them may well explode, but I can't do it. So take what you will out of that. If you feel that that level there on euro US dollar is fragile and the daily pivot's a stronger level, then maybe you could take that trade. That's the hourly, not the 30 minutes, sorry.
Yeah, do you know, mate, looking at that hourly bar looks quite attractive, doesn't it? For a long.
Yeah, for a long, yeah. But that's the whole premise of the strategy, right?
Sure.
Everyone else sees that too.
Yes, yeah.
And if they're wrong, then these blokes are right and we go to here.
Yes, yeah. Get it.
But the risk to reward is pretty poor. So and you've got to trade through the low of the day. So it's not for me. We shall see. Maybe the bulls are in control. I don't know.
I think, well, it certainly appears that way. And as I say, I mean, I don't have any reason to suspect that the dollar is going to strengthen off the back of yesterday's speech and announcement.
No, and they'll be seeing the chart pattern, the cup and handle sitting there. They'll be seeing the break and retest of whatever level there is. So,
yeah.
But that's prime time for me.
Yes.
That's absolutely prime time because that's where the liquidity is long right now.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean, there's a pattern within a pattern there as well. There's that little that little trend line coming off actually, where looks like we just hit. So that the price has bounced to that trend line as well. So I suppose that, yeah, looks pretty good, doesn't it, for a long?
No,
but I get
what I'm saying. Yeah,
I do, and actually, if it does break down on the short side, then it's going to break that trend line as well. So that would look even more attractive, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's just too tight, and I can't take it. So
yeah, okay, that sounds good. Let's wrap it up, mate. I mean, I think that taking long of the dollar wouldn't be my stance today. I think I'd quite like to look at a gold long if it did come back a little bit more, maybe 1820 would be the better spot. FTSE 100 has managed to stabilize relatively well, and hasn't quite touched the daily pivot, and I suspect it probably will do at some point. So really things are on hold. Much more interested in the long than the short at this stage. As I said earlier on, I thought the short was dangerous, and it has proved to be the case, and I still think that might hold firm as well. So looking really for buy signals on the FTSE, and it might actually come in the US session. Doesn't look like the flush down is starting yet. If it happens at all, who knows? But let's wrap it up for the week, mate. Thanks as always to everybody. Thanks to you, John. Brilliant session. Brilliant quiz. Enjoyed
Cheers,
that
mate.
one.
Yep.
Lots of nice fun facts. We'll work on the four notes song rounds that Jeff's going to do.
Four note tunes.
4 notes.
That's 5.
5 will do. 5 will do.
Got to work on that.
See if we get away with it. And thank you to Angel, as always, for looking after us for the week. We'll be back next week, same trade time, same trade channel.
You bet we will. And David, if you could be here on Monday, I'd like to address that those issues that you're having. They sound like fixable issues, and would like to have a talk to you about that. And thanks for coming back. We will chat to you on Monday if you can be in the room, because we'll have plenty of time to do that then, whereas we do not right now. What Ash said, and ×2, and thank you guys. Have a great weekend. We will look forward to seeing you next Monday. Bye-bye.